You're on the road beyond. I'm Todd Duplantis. Good to have you with us this evening. We try to bring you brand new content Monday night, 7 p.m. right here on the Road Beyond podcast, Facebook page, and YouTube. And you can also catch a rebroadcast of our show on HCC TV. Okay, we're all excited about today's show. Tonight, we were going to be talking about AI, or artificial intelligence. Now, all the smart money is focused on making this bold new technological wonder into a whole new intellectual orbit. Have you been able to log into either the internet, Facebook, social media without seeing articles posted about ChatGPT? Probably not. It's everywhere, literally everywhere. But there's fear that this is rooted in Hollywood's warning that it is possibly could be a problem for us. Remember back in the 80s, that movie, The Terminator? Yep, we're going to go there. Remember that? The world was literally overtaken by robots, right? It seemed like a distant future back then. Does it seem that distant right now? Probably not. Okay, we may not see something like that. And Arnold Schwarzenegger isn't going to come back from the dead, but, well, he hasn't died per se, but his robot's not going to come back. But there's a real fear that we may have created something that could be smarter than us and possibly find the human race to be inferior. Doesn't sound too far off, does it? Or maybe even dangerous to the survival of Mother Earth. Now, these self-reliant thinking programs, could they find the human race just not compatible and not even worthy to stick around? Could we be terminated? You just don't know. Could these software programs become so intelligent that they become self-aware and self-preserving to themselves and maybe not have much use for us humans right now? Right now, ChatGPT is the framework for AI. Right now, there are many visionaries that are also saying that very soon, this will become the Model T of AI platforms. It's growing incredibly. And guess what? We're helping it learn too. When you type in those little questions, we're giving it some information to feed in there. Advances and improvements are being revealed literally every day. Now, our guests tonight come from the cutting edge of those developments in AI. Houston Community College is one of the only colleges in the nation, and I believe it was also the first to launch an AI certification program. We've got three guests on our show from HCC. Dr. Samir Saber, he is the Dean of AI and Artificial Intelligence. We've also got Dr. Amy Tan, and Amy is the Dean of Communications and English, so we're going to talk about the academic side. And then we also got Dr. Nathan Smith. He is with the philosophy department in the program there. Let's start off with Samir Saber, the dean here. Samir, we'll just start right from the top. Are these AI bots getting too smart, and could they be dangerous in your opinion to us humans?
I do believe things are happening too quickly, as much as the experts have been trying to kind of phase this thing out, whatever this black box of AI that we think we know about right now. So it is very worrisome. My biggest fear right now is the policy is too slow to adapt to the regulations. Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on, but the big part is how to control it. The thing is, it will push everything that we're trying to do right now as humans, because we don't really understand each other right now. So AI just will kind of make things even more complicated in terms of how to secure data, how to prove anyone's anyone, and what's real, what's not biased. Like, all those things are all in a huge reboot right now. Or we need to rush to fix it all before things get wonky.
Let me ask you this, Samir, in a follow-up question to that. I mean, HCC has, correct me if I'm wrong, was it the first AI program for community colleges?
Right. We launched the first 2-year degree back in 2020 during COVID, fall of 2020. That was the second in the nation by about a week. So it's a workforce program, it's an AI degree, and we're launching a bachelor's this year.
And I would imagine with AI taking off, there's got to be an incredible demand with students that are looking to jump in on this, because this is a very stable career as you're starting off, and in the long run, it pays very well too.
There's a lot of interest. We do info sessions every month, and we've had more and more AI students come in. It's taking the limelight away from cybersecurity.
Which would seem to me, we would need more of that as AI is growing. I mean, we probably need to train some more people in cybersecurity too, right?
Yeah, to us, to be honest, it's interchangeable. There's actually more cyber needs right now than AI. So yes, to your point, 100%.
I want to get back to you because I want to talk about where we are, because there's been some talk about we're in a new industrial revolution with AI and where that's going. But next, I want to bring in Dr. Amy Tan. And Amy, good to see you once again. We talked about this before we started the live show earlier, but you'd sent me an article, and I've heard this story countless times in the news over the past few weeks. People get a phone call from a loved one who's in distress and says, I need your help. And it sounds like the loved one, it's coming from their phone number in many cases, but it turns out to be a scam, which is terrifying as hell. It's AI that's bringing this out. And you saw that article too, right?
I did. And I, as a parent, right. This happens to, our parents. And this is how criminals are preying on us and using, our emotions and the relationships that we have with our family to, it is terrifying. It's unbelievable how real it can sound. And in that moment, the terror that it just grips, it's really scary.
And it is terrifying, and you think, how far are we away from not only doing voice, but video? I mean, our faces are all over social media. Many of us, post our pictures. How far are we from that? I mean, you've got younger children. You get a video call. Hey, Mom, I need your help. I need $100. Send it to my Cash App right away. But it's not their Cash App. I mean, it doesn't seem that we're that far away from that.
Certainly not. I mean, we've already seen it in Hollywood, right? In the so-called deep fake, where videos are shared across the internet, and people believe it. They think it's real, and I still see that scam of the celebrity died, and it gets shared and shared and shared and shared, and it's just the video technology, the AI technology, it's here.
Right. Dr. Nathan Smith. Nathan, thank you for joining us for this discussion tonight. Let me ask you from a philosophical standpoint, over history, it's been proven that at times civilizations can become not too modern, but maybe too civilized, for a lack of better words, and it brings them down. Is that what we're kind of looking at right now? Could this be on the precipice of disaster right now?
I mean, that's certainly some of the concerns that are out there. You talk about this idea of alignment, that maybe the interests of AI aren't aligned with what our interests are, and that could go awry. To be frank, I'm less concerned about that right now. I don't think that we're at a stage of development just yet with what we're seeing where AI has that sort of capacity. What I think right now, the thing that concerns me most is that we see AI accelerating the things about the internet that are already problematic. So we talk about, for instance, you talked about the Industrial Revolution. Well, we've already seen kind of the inauguration of a new form of capitalism. Shoshana Zuboff calls it surveillance capitalism. So the idea is that there are companies whose sole purpose is to mine consumer data and to turn that data into programs that then change people's behavior online to direct them towards consumable goods. So essentially, it's a marketing scheme, a kind of advertising scheme. And that's going to just get turbocharged with the use of generative AI like ChatGPT or DALL-E or these photo or even video or voice generation stuff. So I think the problem that we're going to see is that we'll see greater wealth consolidation in these companies that are already mining our data. And our experience of the internet is just going to get flooded with this kind of, marketing, advertising stuff. And I think our experience of the internet and our ability to connect with other people is just going to get more and more difficult.
You bring up a good point. And it seems like when Facebook was launched, was it back in 2007, 2008? That was the big concern. Oh, they're gathering your personal information to sell you things in the future. And people are like, yeah, okay, but I want to post some pictures of my dinner. That's kind of where we went with that. Now we all seem kind of fine with that. I'm like, I literally over the weekend my girlfriend and I we had an experiment, you know, I'm like, I'm going to mention pizza. And we talked about pizza. Well, of course, within a day, I'm getting ads for pizza. Now, I don't order pizza. I think I've done it once in the last year, but that's what's happening. You know, didn't have my phone on, but they were listening to me at the same time. Are we just getting, you know, it's growing so fast. Are we getting relaxed or to where this isn't going to concern us anymore? Right now we are, but where are we going to be in 6 months?
Yeah, I think what it goes to is a sense of like agency, right? Like we as human beings, we care about our freedom. We care about our ability to choose our path in our life. And I think we don't notice the small encroachments on agency that's already occurring. I think as we engage with AI, we're susceptible to being taken down paths that I'm not sure reflectively we would have chosen. It may seem like all our desires are being met by the sort of technology that's being served to us, but are we really thinking about that? Are we really being reflective about what it is that we want?
Samir, I want to bring you back into this. Let's talk about, in your opinion, you kind of mentioned this off the top. Is AI growing incredibly too fast right now, in your opinion? And not just that, but there are a lot of good things. I mean, we're talking about the doomsday scenario because it's what we do here in this show, but there are a lot of good things that are coming out of AI that we are utilizing for our benefit. So maybe, Samir, you can tell us about some of those and then hitting back on where do you think AI is going?
Yeah, it's moving too quickly because we haven't gotten to the whole responsible AI phase yet, where it's basically taking away a lot of the biases and things like that we've already kind of let the AI models train on. And so when you don't quite understand what's going on in this black box, we'll just call it that way, it's kind of repeating a lot of the same mistakes that we have as humans. And the problem is when you start tying these models with certain plugins and things that just change people's lives, even their healthcare scores or whatever it is, credit card scores, or when you start changing people's lives because it wasn't tweaked accordingly and because it's, some programmers that made the decisions without, getting the real feedback. So that's the pace that I'm saying. I think it's moving a little too quickly. Why? Because, the big companies, they want to rush to the market right now, but all of them are saying the same thing. Google, OpenAI, Microsoft, they're launching it in phases, but even then they think, it's happening too quickly. And we don't have enough regulations around it.
Let me chime in here. It's Scotty Barrett. Amy, higher education and the use of AI by the student body. We've talked about cheating before, but isn't this not the true essence of cheating?
Well, I mean, I think there's ways that students can use AI to cheat for sure. And of course, this has been, occupying the faculty for several months now, right? Ever since the ChatGPT launched. And, I'll say, I want to say like this isn't, academic integrity cheating, particularly on essays. But in any class, right? Like this, we can trace this all the way back to the beginning of educational institutions, right? So it's not a new thing, but certainly the tools that students are using, that's changing. And faculty, they were right on top of it. And many of the faculty recognize that there's going to be ways that they can incorporate the AI in the class, that it's going to make it helpful and beneficial, and that in some ways bringing it into the classroom and saying, okay, let's look at this and see how it works together, right? Putting it into like the educational model and helping students think about it and analyze it. And then again, it's an ethical choice, right? Helping them understand that, there's ways to use the technology and ways, that maybe aren't the best way to use the technology.
Oh, do you give an A to someone who's able to cheat well?
Actually, one of my favorite books is called Cheating Lessons by James Lang. And he talks about a faculty member who taught a class on academic integrity. And that was the first assignment. He told the students to cheat in any way that they could. And it was pretty amazing, the things that they came back with. And of course, that was an incredible learning process for them, because many of them realized, man, I should have just done the assignment on my own, right?
And I want to ask both you and Nathan this next question. We'll start with Nathan, have you give us your part on it as well, Amy. But are we raising now, we just got out through a pandemic and kids were not in school, and it's been proven that they may be a couple of years behind in learning from not getting the skills and the instruction they needed. But are we looking at now a possible generation of non-critical thinkers that are simply going to have to ask the phone, or Chat GPT what to do, and it can write a paper for them? Is that where we're headed, Nathan?
Yeah, this is such a good question. I mean, there's this idea out there that we could create a machine that thinks like a human being, right? It's called artificial general intelligence. And we haven't seen anything like that. But what we do see is we see machines that are remarkably good at mimicking certain human functions, and sometimes even doing those better and faster than us. But I think there's a kind of an illusion here. Like when you use these machines, like if you become over reliant on your phone or on Google for say remembering things, I know I do this, so I'm guilty all the time. What you lose sort of a sense of thinking for yourself and of remaining rooted in your own experience, your own memory, your own thought process. And I think as we kind of become detached from the production of knowledge, I think writing is a kind of thinking. And so if we outsource writing to, say, a chatbot, then we are we have the potential to atrophy that muscle that allows us to think through and form coherent and thoughts that are grounded in our own thought process, our own values, our own experience. I agree with you. That's what critical thinking is all about. It's about rooting our concepts and our notion in a critical, reflective sort of approach to the world. And if we outsource too much of that, I think we're going to lose a lot.
Amy, I'll ask you the same question. I know you have younger daughters, and this is something that worries you with the generation that could be relying on AI too much.
It certainly is. I mean, I kind of worry about myself, right? I still don't drive unless I have Google Maps telling me where to go, right? So I think it's certainly easy to learn to rely on AI in our lives. But I agree with what Nathan said, right? Like, so what happens then in the educational project is that faculty, we really have to work to create those authentic experiences for students, right? Part of what we have to do is convince the students of the meaningful work that's happening, that they're getting in the classroom, and I think it's the way that we approach it in composition and in an entry-level writing course is we've always really, we sort of abandoned the idea that you have to have a handbook or a textbook, right? And so instead we started looking at various instructional materials as text, T-E-X-T, right? So a video can be a text, a commercial can be a text, right? Whatever you're making the object of your analysis and your critical thinking and your argument can be a text. And so I think that's sort of how, we just have to really make sure that we're vigilant in the classroom and that we're creating those assignments that are going to bring the students in and force them to analyze and to work and think critically.
Samir. Yeah, let's go to Samir on this, because HCC has been instrumental in riding the AI wave. What is your observation?
Yeah, we're thinking about it from many angles. I agree with everything that my colleague said, of course. To me, faculty will just have to be more creative in terms of how they'll assess the students. So it's going to be a different kind of learning. But at the end of the day, the teacher will be empowered even more to figure out, did the student actually learn this or not? It's just that it will take other means, because right now plagiarism, there's no way to, to bypass plagiarism right now. There's just no way. All the experts say that it's impossible. So it will be up to the teachers to somehow gauge them. And I think it's exciting too, because the students, once they really are able to get past, accessibility issues, a lot of our students, they have a way they want to express what they have in their heads, in their minds, but they may not be able to through language. So that's one of the first steps, right? Is that language barrier will kind of go away, and it opens the door for more creativity. And so, I mean, there's different ways to look at it. I see it as an enhancement more than anything in terms of education. It's good.
Let's talk about Elon Musk now. Todd, we had some interesting things going on there.
Yeah, Tesla and the SpaceX boss has repeatedly warned that AI will soon become just as smart as humans. He's been not alone in that. And he said that when it does, we should all be scared as humanity's very existence is at stake. Now, of course, the explosion of his infamous Starship rocket, which was a big blow, but he says it was almost expected, and he says it was a win because the massive rocket didn't blow up on the launch pad. It didn't destroy the launch infrastructure. Now, of course, that was in Texas, and then over in Florida at Kennedy Space Center Flight Center, one of his Falcon rockets was hit by lightning. So Musk has some serious challenges going on. But his massive investment recently has been in AI, with $1 billion investment in Britain's DeepMind AI venture that people have been talking about. Now, Musk said that he was warned that AI could be more damaging to humanity than a nuclear exchange in World War III. Sounds crazy, but it may not be that far off. Now, does AI believe in a God or a higher power or anything like that? Could it be taught? Can AI find Jesus? Who knows? Where are we going with this? We just don't know. Scotty, there's a lot of uncertainty happening right now.
There is indeed, and especially with 2024 coming, the use of AI imaging has been extremely frightening. The president announced his re-election, and at the same time, the MAGA crowd entered a very bleak video that was basically all AI generated, showing what it'll be if Joe Biden stays in the White House. It was totally imaginary and totally created by artificial intelligence.
Yeah, and there have been other pictures that have been released in social media. And I'll bring you back to this, Samir. Yeah, here's some.
There's Rudy. And there's Ron. I mean.
But here's my next question, though, and maybe, Samir, you can take this, and I'll let all of you chime in on it. But and this is terrifying to me, when someone is going to trial, what's the best evidence you have? Video of them doing something. Think about it. How far are we away from fake videos being used to take down your enemies?
Oh, we're already there.
Yeah,
we are already
We got deep fake. We've got scam phone calls. How far are we away from that, Samir?
They're getting better and better. I mean, like Scott said, we're there. I mean, so that's pretty much. Yes. So the big question around that is how will we identify humans? And this is where all the big vendors are trying to figure out right now is identity. And it's one of those where it's not really a gray area, it's black or white. And the only way to get there, even things like biometrics and things like that don't work. It's getting to a point where DNA will have to be used, which is kind of crazy. But I can tell you that the companies are doing that right now.
So no longer are we thinking that video of someone committing the act should be submissible. There's going to be a time real soon where it may not be submissible in court. Amy, you sent that article we talked about Over the Top, where people are already getting scam phone calls from loved ones begging for help. AI's there.
Here's an important question. Can AI have a soul? I see you, Nathan. Talk to me about that.
I'll let Amy answer the question for the other question, and then I'll be happy to chime in on that.
Okay.
Sorry, I was trying to get unmuted. And now the question was, I mean, yeah, like it's sorry.
Oh, that's fine, right? We're talking about the deep fakes and the videos and videos being used of people committing crimes that are being done with AI.
Can AI have faith in God?
How about that one?
I think it's a great question. I mean, I think let's start with the idea. I mean, souls are kind of outside of my subject matter expertise. That you might go talk to a theologian about that. But what I think is really interesting is persons and like personhood. And I don't think in principle there's any reason why a machine couldn't be a person. I think we already extend personhood beyond the human race. I think most philosophers think, elephants and dolphins are probably persons and ought to have some level of rights and responsibilities. But I think like we're not there yet in AI, and I actually would love to have a conversation with Samir about this at some point, but I'm kind of fond of the thesis that AI will not become general intelligence and won't be a person until it has a body. Like that embodied cognition is actually something essential to personhood. So I don't know what that looks like, but I think somehow interacting with the world is necessary to develop the kind of consciousness that we identify as person.
I've been talking to an artist in Austin. His name is Trent Allen Rickman, and we had the very interesting discussion about whether art created by AI, which we have seen, has a soul, and can we tell the difference between art that is created by AI and art that's created by a human?
Well, so I will say we were recently at an event where people were using ChatGPT to produce poetry, and there were many of us that were just like, come on, like, please. Yeah. Can we call that poetry?
Well, we can tell the difference in many cases now, but we're quickly approaching the point where we won't be able to tell the difference soon, or at least humans won't. We'll have to use AI to figure out what's AI. Amy, Nathan, Samir, thank you all for joining us on The Road Beyond tonight. And Scotty, we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, I really want to delve into this philosophical question with that artist and with another company, AGM. Manuel Suarez.
We've got
marketing.
We're running out of time here, folks.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us on The Road Beyond podcast. Follow us on Facebook and all social media. We'll see you next week.